I'm Rosie.
I'm Katie.
And
we're a sprinkle of Disney.
Welcome to episode 1. Hi everyone, welcome to the first episode of our brand new podcast, A Sprinkle of Disney. I'm Rosie and my friend Katie is going to be the co-host of this podcast, who will introduce herself in a minute. But as you can tell from the name of the podcast, it is going to be all about Disney. And this isn't just a niche Disney thing, it will be everything Disney. So we're going to talk about Disney films, Disney parks, Disney merch, everything you can think of Disney-wise, we will hopefully be covering it. And obviously you can give us feedback as well if there's specific things you want us to discuss. So before we go and introduce ourselves a bit more, we thought it'd be a good idea to talk about why we wanted to make this podcast in the first place. And it's kind of something that's come naturally to the both of us because all we do is talk about Disney. Pretty much every conversation we have, Disney will get brought up in some way. So we thought it's the kind of thing that other people like us who love Disney, it would be something they'd like to listen to. So we thought we'd just create a podcast that covers everything to do with Disney. And like I said, there'll be lots of different topics that we discuss and it'll change weekly. And hopefully it will cover something for everyone. So Katie's also going to introduce us and let you know a bit more about us.
Thanks. So yeah, I'm the other half of A Sprinkle of Disney. So I'm Katie. And I just thought I'd tell you a bit about who we are. So me and Rosie have been friends now for probably about 5 years. I think it's 5 years. And we met actually on the very first day of university, well, very first week of university. Rosie and I had gone to a Disney quiz event and we'd both gone on our own. And so we were put in the same team. And then we've literally been like really good friends ever since. We ended up living together from that as well. So we ended up running like a society based on Disney together. So we've done loads of stuff together since then. So that's how we met. And it's quite cute because our whole friendship is kind of based on Disney. So that's just kind of where it's come from. So it seems natural that we'd then spread that Disney love with all of you. So that's us. And we're going to tell you like a little bit more now in terms of who we are, a bit about us like as people, because we want to kind of get to know you as well as our listeners. So Rosie's going to tell you a little bit about her and then I'll tell you a bit about me. So Rosie, over to you.
So yeah, hi everyone. As I said, my name's Rosie. I'm 24 years old, which I feel is important because it means I'm a 90s baby. And obviously we all know a lot of great Disney films came out in the 90s, so it's quite a nice year to be born in. I actually live in Manchester, but as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm not from the north. I used to live in the south and that's where I was born. So I'm now a city person, used to live in a seaside town. My hobbies, my main hobby is Disney. Anyone that says Disney isn't a hobby is wrong. Like whenever I say that's my hobby to people, they're like, that's not really a hobby though, is it? You just like Disney. I'm like, if you look at how much there is to do with Disney and the time it takes you spend with all these Disney things, it is a hobby and an obsession. So obviously that's my main hobby, but I do also enjoy things like crafting and scrapbooking, which can come hand in hand with Disney as well. I've also got a blog, which I enjoy writing various different posts on. At the moment, my time is taken up with Animal Crossing because, I mean, whose isn't at this point? But one of my biggest things that I spend a lot of time on is my Instagram account. And obviously that's how this came about in a sense because we both have Disney Instagram accounts. And I just love that because on Instagram, there's such a lovely Disney community and people are just so nice with, you know, what they share about all their Disney things, and everyone shares their experiences at the Disney parks and the merch they're into. And it's just nice to speak to people and share things with people that have that common interest, and also to not have that judgment that some of your other friends who maybe don't like Disney, or your family that normally shut you down if you're talking about something Disney, it's nice to kind of feel like you can just go on and share everything Disney in one place. And as we'll talk about in a bit, that obviously is one of the main reasons we came up with this podcast idea, because we both have an Instagram account and we enjoy sharing various different parts of our lives that involve Disney and our experiences in the parks and various other things. So yeah, so that's a bit about me. And Katie will now introduce herself.
So I am a northern girl through and through. So I currently live like near Liverpool, but I work in Manchester and hoping to move to Manchester, also to be closer to Rosie, because that's what good friends do. So that's just like a bit about me in terms of where I am. So we're both UK based as well. So we did our degree at the same place as well. We both went to Lancaster Uni, and I did my degree in theatre and English, and then did a master's because I loved student life too much, and did a marketing master's as well. In between all of that, I also went and worked in Disney World for a summer as well. So in 2017, I went and worked in Disney World, Florida. I worked at Disney Springs, and you'll probably hear me talk about that far too much because any excuse to talk about it, and I will, because I got discounts. I got to see all of the tunnels in Magic Kingdom and all that kind of stuff. So it'll be quite nice maybe to do like a podcast like around Disney World secrets that I can, the only other ones I can reveal, because I can't do them all obviously because Disney would never hire me ever again. And then that was kind of where my Instagram account came from, because I took so many pictures on that summer. And I think initially like my Facebook feed were like really excited about it, and then everyone got a bit bored of all my Disney photographs. They're a bit sick of me. So I was like, I'll start a Disney Instagram where other people will appreciate my Disney love. And that's kind of where my Instagram account came from. So I started that about 3 years ago now. And I'm at nearly, I think it's nearly 5,000. Yeah, nearly 5,000 followers now, which is crazy that I kind of started with no one listening to me, and now we've kind of grown to nearly 5,000 people wanting to look at my photos, which is quite nice. So that's kind of my Instagram account and where I've come from. And like me and Rosie has said, that's where this has come from, because we've seen that community and we've actually heard that there are people who want to talk about Disney as much as we do. So yeah, that's me. That's my Instagram account. I'm also a year younger than Rosie, so I'm the baby. I'm 23 instead. But as you can see, we're quite what I mean classed as mature Disney fans. So you'll get kind of like different perspectives from us in terms of Disney as well, which will be nice. You'll get an adult perspective as well. So yeah, that's me.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
And we've just run out of time for our first segment, and we're going to tell you more about what we mean in terms of segments in a second. So we're going to be splitting up our different segments in every show by using a Disney fun fact. So our first Disney fun fact for today is that, I didn't know this one before I researched it today, is that a hyena researcher once sued Disney for defamation of character for its portrayal of hyenas in The Lion King, which I didn't know. I doubt they were successful. But hey ho, there you go. I hope you feel enlightened. So we're going to move on now to our second segment, and Ray's going to tell us a little bit more about like our name, why our podcast might be a little bit different to other Disney podcasts that you listen to out there. So I'll pass over to her now.
So basically our name came about because we blended our two Instagram account names. So mine's called Sprinkle of Pixie Dust and Katie's is called Disney Katie. So it was a good way to kind of blend our names together and come up with something that has meaning to both of us. And the other thing that I love about this name is that if you think of a sprinkle of Disney, I literally think of like sprinkles going onto like cupcakes and stuff. And it's kind of like there are different kind of sprinkles and different things within Disney that you can talk about. So it's kind of like sprinkles are like categories within Disney. And I think that's also another thing that kind of makes this podcast different to other Disney podcasts, because the ones I've seen and kind of listened to myself have been quite specific to things. So a lot of the time it will just be on Disney parks, which is great, but you know, you want more than that sometimes. You want like the whole surrounding world of Disney. So it's quite nice that we're not too niche to the point where you're kind of only getting one thing out of it. The other thing that I feel is important to mention as well is that we will be talking about things like Disney franchises, which some people kind of neglect to even include within Disney, which, you know, is a bit shameful really, but especially for me because I'm a big Marvel and Star Wars fan. So we will be discussing everything that there is to do with Disney, because it's just nice to kind of go over everything, and we'll kind of be discussing like our opinions on things, and we do have different opinions on things as well, so it'll be interesting to see what we come up with, and our experiences with Disney. So yeah, we kind of just thought the name represented both of our accounts together and us as a whole in the kind of Disney community, and we just feel like our podcast is probably a bit different to others because we're not zooming on one specific thing, and we're hoping that the format, as Katie explained, will kind of add that to it. So we're kind of going, even within each episode, we'll go through different categories. So we'll kind of spice it up a bit with different things each time.
So in terms of structure, like I've mentioned before, we're going to use segments. And what I mean by that is that I've listened to quite a few Disney podcasts and I've never kind of like settled on one, because quite often they'll kind of go off on tangents, which is great, but quite often they'll be like history-based tangents where, like, as interested as I am in Disney history, I'm not necessarily interested in, like, you know, what one person wrote in 1974 at like 2 a.m. on, like, it's just not something that I'm particularly interested in, so it would switch me off. So we decided to stop ourselves from waffling, because we could probably talk about Disney for like millions and millions of years without stopping, is we're going to do them in different segments, different sections. So We'll probably do like 15-minute segments, or we'll have like a timer on. We've got one on today whilst we do this one, where we'll have a timer on to make sure that we get a chance to speak about everything within the right amount of time, because we don't want to bore you. That's the last thing we want to do, and bore ourselves. So we're going to make sure that there's always like a set time for what we're going to be talking about, and you'll probably hear like a buzzer throughout to kind of notice when the segments will end, and that's when we'll give you another fun fact as well. So that's how the segments are going to work. We're also, as Rosie said, talking a little bit about everything, but not at once. So we've got 4 different streams we're going to follow throughout our podcast. So the first one is going to be, we're going to rewatch all of the classic Disney animated films in order. Not at once, that would be crazy, but like individually, and then we're going to review them. So for example, like Snow White would be the first one, and we'll kind of like spend an episode talking about different elements of Snow White. So it could be to do with like the music, the graphics, the characters, the storyline, the characters, that kind of stuff. The second one is to do with Disney parks. So whether it's something to do with like ride changes, or like new information to do with the parks, or just like general park chats about park food, about park music, park rides, that kind of stuff, because we all love a good park chat. This third stream is going to be about Disney Plus reviews. Obviously with Disney Plus there's loads of new content, so when like a new Disney Plus stuff comes out, we are going to kind of check it out for you in advance, give that a quick review, and then kind of talk about it. So for example, like maybe like the Lady and the Tramp film, for example, which is exclusive to Disney Plus, lots of exclusive content we'll kind of review on here, so you can kind of get the insider info before you maybe watch it. And then the fourth one is just other, because there's loads of other Disney stuff that doesn't necessarily fit in. So we've got things to do with like the franchises will definitely fit in there, music, soundtrack, trivia. We are like mad for Disney quizzes. It's like our thing. We love a good Disney quiz, so we'd quite like to bring you Disney quizzes in general, but then also like more Disney trivia based podcasts. We'll do things like Halloween specials, Christmas specials, merchandise, book reviews, like a little bit of everything. So that area gives us a bit more scope for if you wanted to do something different and topical as well. So hopefully there's something in there for everybody, and it should kind of fit everyone. In terms of how frequently the podcasts are going to come out, we're thinking it will just depend on like our availability. It could be monthly, it could be like fortnightly. It'll just depend, because we both work full time as well. So as much as we love Disney and wish it was our full-time job, at the moment it's not. So in our heads it might be, but not in reality. So we'll like keep you updated when the new ones are coming, and we'll tell you more about that later, about how to kind of keep up with the newest content and stuff as well.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
And there we have our second segment finished. So Rosie is going to tell us our next Disney fun fact, so I don't hog all the fun facts.
Yeah, so our next fun fact is one that I definitely didn't know, so this is new to me. And it is that if you look closely during the concert in The Little Mermaid, you can spot Mickey, Goofy and Donald in the crowd, which I don't remember this. So I need to rewatch it and actually see that, because that's really cool. And I think that also brings in the whole Easter egg vibe to Disney, and that's a whole thing in itself that we can talk about at some point.
Rosie loves a good Easter egg. Like, that is one of Rosie's niches, is finding Easter eggs in films. Like that one is, towards the beginning when Ariel is like she's not at the concert, when they like scan over the crowd, that's when you can see their little heads, so you have a little peek. But that is Rosie's thing. Rosie's done a whole quiz round on Easter eggs. She's very good at it.
Yeah, it's just something fun to look out for, and I think it's nice because it adds the extra magic into the Disney world. Like, not a lot of other people do that, so yeah, it definitely brings something to Disney. And that brings us nicely on to our next segment. So what we're going to do now is we're kind of going to talk about our favourite Disney films, Disney characters, and just have a discussion surrounding that, and then you can kind of get to know what we enjoy most about Disney. So I'm going to start by asking Katie a few questions. So Katie, I know it's hard to narrow it down to one film, and I know we have regular struggles over this, but what is your current favourite Disney film?
So as Rosie will know, I had a sit down about 2 years ago, and I was like, right, I need to sort this out, because as soon as people know, you'll all know this struggle. As soon as people know you like Disney, they're like, what's your favourite film? And you're like, I don't know, all of them. So I sat down and decided. So my favourite film is Tangled. That's where we're at. It's my favourite one. I just love the film. I love what it stands for. Like, I love the lantern scene in Tangled is one of my absolute favourite scenes of any movie, animated or non-animated. I think it's just so beautiful. And I definitely, I told Rose this already, but I want that lantern scene to be the evening of my wedding. That's what it's going to look like for my wedding. It's going to be full of lanterns. Whoever this groom may be does not know it yet, but it'll be, part of the wedding contract. And so that's like Tangled is not my favorite film there, but we then have Contenders. So then this is where it gets a bit murky. So like the next three we have Princess and the Frog, Moana, and Brave. So they're like my next ones underneath. Just as you can tell, I love an independent Disney princess. As you can tell, like they're my thing. The ones that are like strong and independent and they have the best songs, and they're my favorites definitely. Although I love the older classics, as you can tell, lots of my favorites are the newer ones, but I think it's just because I love a strong woman character. So they're all of my favorites. And like, I think I'm always tempted to put Tiana and like Princess of the Frog at the top just because of that idea of like hard work and that. Like, I really like that, and the fact that she doesn't need anybody else except herself to kind of reach that goal. So yeah, I love a bit of Tiana as well. She's probably like my second. So yeah, but then also Brave, because Brave again doesn't need no man. So I also love Brave. So yeah, like Tangled kind of like tops it, but the other three are very much competing for it. So one day it might change, who knows?
And they're all very similar as well in their message that they give off.
They are,
the
yeah.
fact that they don't rely on love for, that's on their life goal. They do have, other things going on. And I think
that
that's
makes me
probably
sound
why...
so cold-hearted. They don't need love.
I think that's probably why your favourites are the recent ones as well, because obviously in the past, as we'll discuss, it was very centralised around love. So yeah, and not having, other goals. So yeah, I do love all of those ones as well. They're not my favourites, but they're some of my favourites, but they're not my top three. But then that brings us on to the next question. Who is your favourite character?
Oh,
this is hard.
See, this one, I struggle with this one more, right? Because again, it used to be Rapunzel. I was like, done deal, Tangled, Rapunzel, sorted. And then I forgot about Winnie the Pooh. So I think Winnie the Pooh is my favourite character. I think just because I just love everything with Pooh on it. Like anything that's got Winnie the Pooh on. Rosie has seen my weakness in action in Primark. It's dangerous. If something that has Winnie the Pooh on it, I'll buy it. I think a lot of Winnie the Pooh stuff that I like is probably linked back to like memories of like childhood and stuff like that, and it's just easy to watch. And like, for example, like me and Rosie and our other friend Danielle, who are hopefully going to get on here to guest as well, because she's like our third arm of Disney, if you like. So we went to see like Christopher Robin together, so I've got lots of memories tied up in it there. So yeah, I think just Pooh in general, just because I love Pooh's lines and the quotes and stuff, I think are lovely. So probably my favourite character. But then again, like Tiana kind of comes up quite close behind there just because of who she is as a person and like what she stands for and like Disney and stuff like that, and the fact that she was the first, obviously, like African-American lead princess even. I just think that the whole thing's inspiring. So she's like a close second after Pooh Bear, which I think is fair. I wouldn't mind being second after Pooh Bear, so that's fine.
Yeah, I completely agree as well, because I think it's nice to have like a human character that's your favorite, and also like an animal character, because I think like you'll like some of them because they're cute, which is fair, but then also like you'll like some of them because they remind you of your personality, or their ambitions are similar to your ambitions and you can relate to them. And obviously with animal characters sometimes that's not quite the case, especially if they don't really speak. But yeah, so I think that's quite like normal to have like multiple favorites, especially as it's so hard to narrow it down.
It really is hard, especially when like you say that there's so many different types as well, and you could have like a favorite Disney princess and like a favorite Disney prince and a favorite sidekick, and you can just keep going. But yeah, I think you're right. I think the ones that tend to be your favorites tend to be the ones that you either identify with their film and kind of ambitions and goals and stuff, which is probably why I love Tiana, because I'm that kind of person who's like, this is my dream and I'm going to work to make it happen. A bit of wishing helps, but hard work helps as well. And I think because Pooh is the opposite. Pooh is just so chill and it's like, yeah, sure, let's just eat some food. And that is the other side of me. It's like, don't do anything and just eat. So I think they probably represent my two halves. So yeah, so that's me. But no, enough about me now. We're going to chat then about Rosie instead. So kind of I think I know the answers, but what's your favourite Disney film?
So again, like I have three. So like you were saying with your tier system, I've got three that like they're always in my top three. So that never changes. But it's just when someone asks me, I always have to think of one on the spot and select it. I'm like, oh, I need to say one. I can't say three because otherwise I'll get bored. So my current favourite is Big Hero 6. Which actually I know can be quite a rogue choice, because I know there's some fans out there, but it's definitely a film that some people might not even know is Disney. Maybe they've not seen it, but to me it just represents such wholesome messages. And I think particularly as well with the relationship between Tadashi and Hiro, and creating Baymax as a healthcare companion, it's just a really nice way of showing things like mental health awareness, and I think that's why I love it so much, because it's just very like understanding and like compassionate with Hero's emotions and how he deals with the grief in the film. And also I love the concept of San Francisco. Like I love that idea that San Francisco and Tokyo have been blended together into this unique city. And obviously, of course, the animation then shows us what that city looks like. And because of the stage that Disney were at with animation at the time when it was at a pretty peak stage. So it looks incredible. And of course, Baymax, though you'll find out he isn't my favourite character, I love him. He's just the cutest thing, but also, as I said, because he's a healthcare companion, he just represents emotions and how people deal with their emotions so well, and in a really light-hearted way, which I think obviously is always the kind of message Disney is trying to go for, but in a very kind of easy to understand way for children particularly as well. So yeah, I just think it's a really wholesome film, and that's why it's my favourite. But my other two are Lilo and Stitch and Beauty and the Beast. Beauty and the Beast is very nostalgic for me. I think Belle's always been my favourite princess, and I don't think that will ever change. I know all the new ones are amazing, and I do love them, but I've just resonated with Belle my whole life. And obviously, we've got the same colour hair. I've actually got brown hair, so you might say it's just because I wanted to be her. But she loves reading, and obviously she's got ambition. She's very intelligent, and like she's always got goals. And I like to think that's what I'm like as well. So I think that's why I love that film. Lilo and Stitch was just such an incredible thing for its time. It was so different to anything anyone had ever done before, the whole concept of aliens. And obviously Stitch is a really, really cute character. But alongside Lilo and Stitch, the reason I love it so much is because there's a TV series that links with it. And I grew up watching that as well. So they're my three favourite films. But as we were saying, like you could go on forever. I mean, there's not really a single Disney film that I don't like. But yeah, you could just talk for hours and hours about why you love Disney films.
I'm quite impressed with myself that I would have got all three of those in that order, so I'm quite proud of myself. I'm quite impressed. It's quite funny though, because I didn't watch Big Hero 6. I don't even know why. I think it's one of those films that I missed in the cinema, and then I just didn't follow up on it. And then Rosie kept talking about it so much that I was like, oh, I guess I'll have to watch it now. And it was so good. So I think you're right. I think it's the kind of film that people would love if they knew more about it. It's weird. I still can't say still can't say it. I always want to say San Fran Tokyo, even though that's not the way you say it, is it?
No, it's San Fran Tokyo, but it is a bit of a, like, it's more difficult to say than you think it would be.
My brain struggles with the idea of no T, so we're still going to get there one day. So I guess then you've already said your favourite character then is Baymax.
He's one of my favourite characters. So like Stitch, I think Stitch has always been my favourite Disney character. Yeah. But it's just because he's cute. I don't know, like I think that's why most people love Stitch really, because he is cute and he's very unique. And I think if you know Lilo and Stitch, then you know the Ugly Duckling scene where he's reading the Ugly Duckling book with the ducklings around him, and he's sat in the rain and he's just been cast out by Lilo, and it's just really cute and you just feel really sorry for him, and it's just one of my favourite moments ever in a film. But also, as I've mentioned, obviously Beauty and the Beast is one of my favourites, so Belle is also one of my favourite characters. So actually my favourite characters do come from my favourite films, and they are kind of the main characters from the films as well. But as I said, like I've got so many favourite characters, and I do love most of the princesses. Especially the newer ones, like Moana is amazing. I did think at one point she was going to come in my top 3. Like I was a bit unsure about where it was going, but yeah, I've stuck with Belle, and I think I will always resonate with Belle the most. So
Moana did come in and like mess things up. Like I had just set my top 3, and then Moana came in, and I was like, well, that's messed everything up because she's so good. I think it's interesting because I think again this is an example of where me and Rosie are very similar in our opinions to a lot of things and to a lot of Disney movies. But for example, like Belle, I always thought that Belle would be one that I would I think when I was younger, I had like the Belle costumes. I was obsessed, and whilst I still love Belle, I think because she's like an independent princess and she loves reading and I love reading, I think the reason that she's my favourite is because she, like her whole dreams, she wanted to travel the world and then she never did. And I think like for me, that's why she doesn't quite make my top 3, because, or like top 4, because she just didn't, it's like her whole dreams changed because of a man. If men are listening, I'm not against men. It's fine. I just feel like when people change their whole plans for a man in a film, it just disappointed me a little bit. But that's why I probably liked it in the remake a bit more. The fact that like I like to think she travelled more in the remake because of the mirror and stuff. So that kind of fixed that bit of Belle for me. So that's the only reason why Belle doesn't make my top, because I know lots of people love Belle as a character and that she's their favourite, and I get it, but she just let me down in that last little bit. She let me down, but other than that, I suppose I'll get over it. It's fine. I won't hold it against her.
But there's also that fear, I think, as well, like when new films come out, like I'm always worried that someone's going to take over as my favourite film or favourite character when something new comes out. And then I feel bad on the old one. I'm like, oh, like, I can't.
True.
And that's the thing, I've always clung on to Belle because she's just so nostalgic to me. So like whenever a new princess comes along, because I love Anna, so whenever someone comes along, I'm like, oh, maybe. But actually, I'm like, no, I've got to stay true to her because there's a reason I've loved her this long.
That's very true.
But I do agree, obviously, like still being one of the earlier princesses, she has got the whole, love men arc situation going on rather than, I'm going to like go on my adventure and actually see it through like Moana does. So.
Yeah, that is the difference. And like Tiana, do you know what? That's why I think I love Rapunzel. Because obviously, she has that like love with Flynn, literally because she follows her adventure, follows her heart. So I think that's like where those princesses kind of flip it for me a little bit, because they found their love because of that, not because they were kidnapped. So that's just personal opinion, personal preference. I'd rather have an adventure and meet a man than be locked up with a man and be forced to marry him, but that's just me. And then the other thing as well is, out of the two of us, Rosie is a lot more like franchise involved. So when we talk franchises, we mean things like Pixar, Star Wars, Marvel. So I'm more involved in the Pixar side. I love a good Pixar film. But Star Wars and Marvel, I'm getting more into because of Rosie and because, like I say, of our other friend Danielle, who was like the Marvel person in the group, really. Whereas Rosie's more like Star Wars leaning. So I think Rosie is kind of like, of the both of us, will be the one that will be there with the fun facts from Marvel and Star Wars, and I just kind of learn from them. So I'm currently rewatching all the Marvel films because of Rosie and then our friend Danielle as well, because they talk about how good they are all the time. So I guess I'd probably say that that's one of your specialties, maybe like Pixar. It's maybe one of your Disney specialties that you maybe know a little bit extra about than other people might.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think with Star Wars, it's been something that I've always wanted to get into. And I only really got into it when The Force Awakens came out. And I watched that and I kind of fell in love with it then. And then, thanks to lockdown, I've had plenty of time to familiarise myself with the rest of Star Wars. So much so that I've been watching all the series, all the animated series as well, like Clone Wars and Rebels, which are just fantastic. And I'm going to try and convince Katie to watch them. But he might have a way to go yet and may have to rewatch some of the films.
Well, I have only seen the films once each, so I think we have to start with, I haven't seen the prequels yet, so, but as I mentioned before, when I went to Disney World, they put me in the Star Wars shop, and at the time, I hadn't seen one Star Wars film, and I remember messaging Rosie and Danielle, and they were like, oh, that's like great, and I was like, you don't understand. People come into the shop and ask if they got like a certain character, and I was like, let me check the iPad just to see who that character was. So yeah, but it's something that I hope to kind of like do more of, because I went and saw the last few in the cinema. So yes, I will definitely get on board with the series when I actually understand the story a bit better.
That's the thing, I think, as well. It's something you have to fully commit to, much as you do with Marvel. The franchises you do have to kind of have that commitment with, because they're interlinked. So yeah, you do have to kind of put time aside and actually pay attention when you're watching these, because they can't be background films. You have to completely like understand what's going on.
Yeah,
if you don't,
that's what I'm learning.
Then you're lost for the next film and you have to rewatch stuff. So
I think it was last night I watched Winter Soldier. So I'm at the minute where I'm watching a new Marvel film every single night. And Rosie's right. So the first film that I saw in cinema from Marvel was Civil War. And my friend was like, you only need to watch like the first two Captain Americas and Avengers.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
Oh, we just run out of time. Oh, what a stupid system we put in place. So yeah, and I think I've seen those films before and then actually didn't really get them, and I've watched them again now in sequence with a commitment, and I understand them. So my specialty is probably more music, and we'll probably do that at some point as well. I love a good Disney soundtrack. That is my thing.
You also love a music round and a quiz, which is that's definitely your speciality.
That is my specialty. I'm sure I'll share it with you all eventually. We'll probably do like a music round where Rosie has to guess, and she hates me afterwards. And we start being friends. words. So then our third Disney fun fact then of the podcast is that, I didn't know this one actually, for a couple of years Disney held the patent or patent, however you want to say it, for Technicolor, which meant that he was the only animator who was allowed to make colour films. Not sure how I feel about that. Feels a little bit
It's
like
a bit controlling.
a little bit. People clearly got their own way afterwards, but yeah, I didn't know that.
No.
So there you go.
No, that's another fact I didn't know. So
Yeah. So moving then into our next segment, I'm really excited about this one. So this one is going to be more like quick fire Disney preferences. So we're going to go through, we've got a list of like A or B type questions. I'm both going to see what our preferences would be. I'm not sure how this is going to go.
It's going to be interesting.
We might never be friends again after we have this conversation. So we'll take like one each and we'll just discuss it. So I guess this is the first one, obviously, is Rosie. Mickey or Minnie is the question.
So difficult. I can't quick fire this. Okay, I'm gonna go with Mickey because Mickey is the icon. He is Disney, so I feel like I have to go with Mickey. I love Minnie, but Mickey is Disney in my eyes.
I get that. I think like when you're younger, you want to go Minnie because you're a girl and you're like, oh, she's the girl.
Yeah, she's the girl version of Mickey. So you're like, yeah, I have to go with Minnie, but actually, you don't. So.
See, we do like men sometimes, it's fine.
Yeah, we do.
If you're a mouse.
Yeah, if you have a bow tie on and red shorts.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would probably say Mickey as well. I mean, to be fair, I have both of them on my duvet at the minute, which is so, you know, they're like looking at me like asking for a decision. But yeah, I think Mickey probably is the first one that would come to mind, just because, like you say, he's more iconic.
Yeah.
And Minnie tends to be in there like less amounts than Mickey, although I will say, and when we do our Christmas episode, just you wait, because they are my favourite Christmas films ever. And when we do the Twice Upon a Christmas, that scene, you've seen it, that scene between Minnie and Daisy is the first time you see Minnie like properly get into it and get like sassy and aggressive. So yeah, I think if we have more of those types of Minnie moments, I might be a bit more leaning towards Minnie. But I think if we see more of Mickey, I'm going to go Mickey as well. There we go. There's one that we've agreed on.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, Rosie, do you want to take the next one?
Yeah, okay. So this one's quite hard actually as well. So Tower of Terror or Rock and Roller Coaster?
So I used to have an answer for this that was just Tower of Terror before I did the one in Florida. And then I did the Florida one and it ruined me. So we're going with Rock and Roller Coaster because the Tower of Terror one in Paris, I know when it drops. Like, you know when like it drops and you drop? Yeah. And I went to Florida and I was like, I got this, it's fine. Any warning to all of you out there, the Florida one is different. It moves, it's pitch black. Enough said. So it freaked me out so much I didn't actually go back on it. Like, I still enjoyed it, but I was just so freaked out the whole time that I didn't go back on it again. So Rock and Roller Coaster, I think it's faster and it's normally a shorter wait time as well. It's always a bonus. So yeah, I'm excited to see how they retheme it as well, since they're getting rid of the Aerosmith stuff. So
yeah, that will definitely be interesting.
Which one is you?
Yeah, I mean, I've only been to Disneyland Paris. I say only, yeah. Obviously that's great. But I don't have like other versions to compare them to. I think Rock and Roller Coaster is my favourite of the two because it's just so fast and I love
the music makes such a difference.
It's such an immersive experience.
Yeah.
I know the Tower of Terror is as well because you've got the whole theming. But I don't know, I think I prefer a roller coaster to a big drop. I know you can have drops and roller coasters, but just
drops freak me out.
It's a bit like your stomach's a bit like, ooh.
I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the one in Paris because like now I can preempt it. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But like the one in Disney World in Florida, because it's just black and you're waiting to drop, that makes me feel sick.
That would freak me out. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like I don't do drops outside. You know, you get like the Tango Ice Blast. I can't do them. They just freak me out way too much. So, and I scream, like I'm a screamer on a ride. So people look at me funny next to me, so I don't go on there. so yeah,
fair.
okay. 2 out of 2. This is going well. Okay, next one. I know my answer to this one. Pooh or Tigger is the question.
I think it has to be Pooh because he's the main man, you know, like he is Pooh Bear. And like you said before, his quotes, the things he says, they're just so wholesome. And he's such a little, like, cute little bear, and he's so lazy and he doesn't care about what anyone thinks about him. He's just goals, really, in bear form. And I do love Tigger, don't get me wrong, like, he's great and he's hilarious. But Pooh, you just want to cuddle him, and
that's so true.
He'll make you feel better, like, it's just cute.
Yeah. And as a kid, I loved Tigger like 98% of the time. But quite often when I was like, I just want to find the stick, or I just want to find Christopher Robin, and Tigger is being annoying.
Yeah, kind of getting in the way.
I was like, could you please let the plot continue? So yeah, like I think you're right. I think because Pooh, tends to be the one with like the calm wisdom, and he eats so much honey that it makes me just, happy. So yeah. Okay. Oh, 3 of 3. This is good.
I'm surprised, but things might change.
They might.
Right. Okay. The next one then. Right. Pink or blue?
See, when I was younger, it was pink all the way. But now it's definitely blue. Like, I used to have blue hair, so I can't really not say blue, can I?
That's true. Yeah.
So, yeah. And obviously this links to, like, Aurora's dress. And again, when I was younger, I was like, pink is the best. And now I'm older, I'm like, actually, they were both really nice. And the blue one is probably, like, more individual. So, yeah, I'm going to go blue.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I agree that her dress, I think it is better in blue. It's a bit more, like, civilized, a bit more adult than the pink one. However, I don't know. I think recently my love for pink has come back. Like, it's not a colour that I would wear because it just doesn't suit me, but it's a colour, like, aesthetic that I appreciate in things.
That's true.
So I think it's difficult. I love them both so much, but I think right now I actually think my favourite's pink, which I'm surprised at myself because I'm not the most girly
I'm surprised.
person.
I was going to say, you can be quite tomboyish,
but,
so I'm quite...
Yeah, at the moment in my Animal Crossing game, my avatar has pink hair. So I'm like, well,
okay, fair.
Then, yeah, clearly I must like it.
That's absolutely fair.
I think I'm going to go pink, which surprises me. But
so next one, I think is one of the hardest ones we've got on here. Sebastian or Mushu?
God, I mean, this is really hard because I love them both. And they're both great sidekicks. And they're both funny as well. So, you can't even say one of them's funnier than the other.
That's true.
I think I'm going to have to go Mushu, and I think that's just simply because I prefer Mulan to Little Mermaid. I love Mulan as a film, and I think Mushu is a great sidekick, and he is just there for Mulan as well, like, and he provides comedy gold throughout the less, like, funny parts of the film. And I love dragons, so yeah, it's going to have to be Mushu.
I think I'm the same, and like, do you know what I think it is? I think because Mushu is a bit more like outgoing about stuff and wants Mulan to be like the best that she can be all the time.
Yeah.
Whereas Sebastian wants that for Ariel like most of the time, but he's also a bit like, like, I'm gonna hold her back because because of the rules. He's a bit of a stickler for the rules. But on the other hand, Mushu does, kind of like use Mulan as well. So there's, swings and roundabouts. But I think you're right. I think Mushu is the more entertaining one to watch. Especially when you're a kid and you're like, Sebastian, will you shut up and leave her alone to go marry Ari?
I think that's the thing as well. I think Sebastian can be a bit annoying, whereas I think Mushu's consistently like funny throughout. So I think
even when he's being like a liar and a cheat, you still love him. So okay.
Yeah.
Another one we agree on. How impressive.
I know. Right. Okay. So the next one is Pirates of the Caribbean ride or Big Thunder Mountain.
So, I don't remember going on I know I went on Big Thunder Mountain in Paris, but I don't remember it as much. The one in Florida, I loved. I loved a lot more. I think that's because I've been on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, which was a letdown. Read more in my blog for more about that. It was a letdown of a ride. But I think Pirates of the Caribbean is my fave. I'm a sucker for a water ride. I just love water rides. They're always my favourite. And I'm a huge Pirates of the Caribbean fan. So I think just like for the atmosphere of that ride, combined with the log flume element, that one's always going to win for me. So yeah, what about you?
So I think we've had our first big disagreement. Because
oh dear.
I'm not going to lie, this is so easy for me. I love Big Thunder Mountain. It's my favourite ride at Disneyland Paris. And I just love it because it's a roller coaster, but it's not too fast. It's not like rock and roller coaster Space Mountain vibes. It's kind of fast enough, but also chill enough that you can kind of enjoy it the whole time. And like, I don't know, I just love the experience of like going around the mountain and little mountain goat that you see like before you have your photo taken and say hi to him. I just love the whole Wild West like theme. So I love the theming of that Frontierland as well. And Pirates, I mean, I love Pirates of the Caribbean films, I do. Some of them not so much as the others. And I love water rides, but I don't know, it's not one that I get excited for. I go on it if it's got a short wait time.
Yeah, I wish there was a bigger drop. It's missing a big drop is what it's missing.
Yeah. If it had a big drop, then I'd be a bit more interested. But obviously, like, Jack Sparrow is pretty cool to see, when he's like there with his chest and stuff. So yeah, I think it's just it's an easy decision for me. I love Big Thunder, but I can appreciate Pirates. The Caribbean.
Fair. Okay, next one. So I think we've got probably time for just one more. So Christoph or Flynn? This is an easy one for me. How about you? Well, actually, it's easy, but I'm sad about my decision. So what about you?
Well, I think it's actually really hard. Flynn's always the one that I think of as like my favourite Prince character.
Yeah.
But I do love Kristoff, and I think especially in Frozen 2, like you get to see a bit more of him. But no, it's got to be Flynn, hasn't it? I think he's just great. Like he's got a real personality. A lot of the princes, I'm sorry, but where are their personalities?
I mean, you have to pity the princes, let's be honest, because they are given. Man, I'll give you this one. Like they have zero personality. Eric is all right. Eric can stay.
Yeah.
But Prince Charming, I was trying to find a clip of Prince Charming speaking for our most recent quiz. You literally can't find it in the first film, and I just think that's shocking. So yeah, I think Flynn is definitely my fave because he has a journey, you know, and he has so much character and personality. Kristoff as well, but I just think. I'm a sucker for a bad boy as well. So like I feel like Flynn's got that bad boy element.
Yeah. And he has like a redemption arc, doesn't he? And I think that's always something you're quite interested in seeing, like a real development rather than just, hi, I'm a Prince character. I'm just here for the person to fall in love with.
And I guess they both have quite similar arcs with their like significant other as well, because they both start off quite annoyed by like the other person, and then slowly fall in love with them. I think it's quite cute.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Kristoff was a very close second, but it's
I agree. He would definitely be my second choice.
Yeah.
And then probably Eric after.
Oh yeah.
But
we do like Eric, but he's not on the
he's
same
not
level,
on the same
let's
level,
be honest.
No.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
And that brings us to the end of this segment. How exciting. So Rosie's going to bring you our fourth and final Disney fun fact of today's podcast.
So another one that I didn't know. So Clarence Nash, also known as the voice of Donald Duck, created the dog barks for 101 Dalmatians, which is pretty cool. I'm surprised like that happened. Like that's really cool.
Disney have such a track record of doing this with their films. So I found out as well that ruining another fun fact for the future, but here you go, here's a bonus one. But like with the Lion King, I think they tried like lions roars and it wasn't loud enough. They tried a tiger's roar, it still wasn't loud enough. So they ended up using like pots and pans. So like the lion roars in the Lion King is actually like the sound guy that's like whacking a pan.
Oh wow,
yeah,
that's so cool.
I think it's probably to do with the fact that obviously you can't necessarily control an animal's like volume and stuff.
Can't. Yeah.
So I think quite often the sounds of animal noises are not always actual animals. So yeah, I didn't know that one either.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so that's a really cool fact to finish off, and I think we will be doing more fun facts throughout all of our episodes, so look out for those. I mean, I'm definitely finding out new things from these. So
me too. Rosie again will tell you, I make really hard Disney quizzes so that people learn things.
Yeah, and it makes you feel less bad when you don't know, because you're like, oh, at least I've learned something.
Yeah.
So yeah. But yeah, so that's the end of our first ever episode. How exciting.
Oh, that was in sync.
I know. I mean, this is the other thing you'll learn as you get to know us, is that we're very in sync.
We are.
We're really excited to do more episodes of this for you. But thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have enjoyed it, please subscribe to us. There's a subscribe button in the corner there. So if you subscribe to our podcast, and if you want to leave a review, we would love to read your reviews or feedback as well. If there's anything you want us to talk about, then that's great. We can always put that in our schedule. We're always open to flexibility, because we want to discuss at the end of the day what people want to hear.
Yeah.
So you might come up with something completely new. But yeah, if you leave a review, make sure to leave your Instagram handles. We can come and speak to you on Instagram, because that'd be really nice as well. And as Katie kind of said, in terms of the schedule, next episode, we will be starting our first classics discussion, and that will be on Snow White. So I'm definitely going to have to go and watch that again. It's been a long time since I've watched that film. And it's not one of my favourites, as you'll find out.
I'm going to warn you all, if you're a staunch Snow White fan, maybe don't listen. It has its merits. Like, we like parts of it, but yeah, just tune in to see. Please don't hate
Yeah,
us.
it will be interesting, definitely. I mean, you'll get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah.
It's just not one of our faves.
No,
But
and I think especially being like 21st century, like women looking back on it is quite interesting. But I think we're going to make sure that we use that idea of, at the time
yes,
perspective as well as our perspective. So
yeah, we have to be fair when we put it into
Yeah.
context.
Yeah.
So you've got that to look forward to. And then we're also going to be discussing things like future opportunities for advertising. And we were thinking small shops. So if you are a small shop or you're starting out as a small shop, then get in touch with us if you want to, or listen to next time's episode, because we'll discuss that in more detail there. And we'll also be talking about a giveaway, which is always exciting. I mean, who doesn't love a giveaway, especially when it's Disney themed? I mean, they're great. So yeah, that's a reason in itself to come and listen. I mean, who doesn't love a giveaway? So yeah, thank you so much.
So we're mainly active on Instagram, as you can probably tell. So we kind of have 3 Instagram accounts linked to us. So obviously the one for this podcast is called A Sprinkle of Disney Podcast, as you would expect. So go and give us a follow over there for kind of exclusive content about just us, about when the episodes are coming out, how you can influence the episodes, and when we are planning a giveaway. So when the giveaway happens, it will be on from that account as well. So make sure you give that a follow. You can also access all of our podcasts from there as well. Then we both have individual accounts as well. So Rosie's is Sprinkle of Pixie Dust 101, and then mine is Disney Katie 1305. So go and give us a follow over there if you're interested, because we share a lot of Disney stuff, and we'll be sharing more stuff to do with the podcast there as well. We've also got a YouTube channel that will be kind of popping all these podcasts on as well, if you prefer that. So go and give that a cheeky subscribe. So that's again Sprinkle of Disney podcast on there. So that's where we'll have all the latest information. And we also have, if anyone is interested in like collaborations, we're well up for doing like guest interviews, like collaboration stuff, anything like that. So if you want to get in touch with us, either DM us on Instagram or you can email us at sprinkleofdisneypodcast@gmail.com as well. So that'd be really cool. We'd love to hear from you. So we've been A Sprinkle of Disney. Have a magical rest of your day.